Welcome to the Women in Industry podcast. My name is Kirsty Davies-Chinnock. This is series 4, and today I'm joined by Holly Stafford-Smith, who is a fourth generation leader of GH Stafford & Son Limited. Holly is proud to be the fourth generation leading her family's long established leather goods and accessories business, and the first woman to do so. They were founded in 1947 by a granddad and great-granddad, and the company has grown through decades of hard work and strong relationships. Now, as part of the next generation at the helm, she's focused on balancing tradition with innovation to keep moving forwards while staying true to their roots. Welcome, Holly. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
No problem. Thank you very much for having me.
One of the things that I see being, a Brummie, is that Walsall in particular has got such a strong tradition of leatherworking and it's such a rich heritage. And obviously this heritage is your heritage as well, your family's heritage. We have the Leather Museum as well, which is currently under threat. How do you and how does your family and your colleagues sort of look at something like that when it's part of your day job? It's not history, it's what you do.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think I've really been following the politics of it all as much as or as closely as I probably should have. But certainly from my perspective, it would feel like a tremendous shame if they were to kind of go ahead with their plans. As a child, and this is completely aside from work, I visited the Leather Museum plenty of times. My grandma always used to take us in the school holidays. And then last year, my mum took my daughter.
Oh.
And there's a picture of my daughter stood there pointing at a picture of actually my grandma on my mum's side, which is completely separate from GH Stafford's, who used to work there in the 40s when it was, the old Victorian kind of leatherworks. I think if they're to go ahead with the relocation as they seem to be kind of steamrolling through, it's definitely going to take away from the whole kind of experience of it. The way it's set in that old-fashioned, I think it's a Victorian building. It won't quite hit the same if they take it away from that. And unfortunately, it kind of feels like they are not taking into account the heritage of the building, and it just all seems to be about money.
I think, no shade to any council out there, I know they're balancing budgets, but sometimes it can't be about the money. We've sort of seen it happen. Did you ever go to you're a lot younger than me, but did you ever go to the original Science Museum in Birmingham?
No.
That was amazing.
Is it run by where the think tank is?
Yeah, and that's just not the same. It's really not the same. Because it's like they're almost putting the future into it rather than things that were done.
Forgetting what's come before.
It's when I think it was my son was little, my mum took him around the old Science Museum, and she worked at the GC as a punch girl, which was the original computer. The computer was like probably the size of my office here, and you programmed the cards to put it in, and that ran the computer program. And that's what my mum did. And that computer from the GC was in the Science Museum.
And no longer in the new location.
It's in a warehouse somewhere.
You're losing something. You're absolutely losing something by taking it away from that. And I get it. It's balancing with, what happened in the past. But I am no politician, so I don't pretend to know what they're kind of grappling with making these decisions. But it just feels, from my perspective, certainly like it's a tremendous shame, and they'll be losing something priceless along with it.
I think there has always been those decisions, and you can't save everything, and you can't pay for everything. But this is the foundation of Walsall and the surrounding area. it would be like steelworks in the Black Country,
Mm,
or so if you look at the Black Country Museum with all the chain makers and everything in there,
yeah,
if you took all that
very
away, it's the
special as well.
same thing, it's just
Mm.
on a smaller scale. So,
Yeah.
so
It's all part of the same thing.
yeah,
So hopefully, I mean, I can't, I don't, I don't pretend to know enough about it either to know whether they're going to reevaluate. I can just keep my fingers crossed, I suppose, and share what I can when I
yeah,
can.
I just sign everything Lauren Broxton puts in
Yeah,
front of me.
same,
Hi, Lauren.
same. Yeah.
Um, um, talking about history and heritage, obviously it's the end of 2025 now, and you were
Mm,
started in 1947, which with the aid
mhm,
of a calculator was 78 years ago.
mhm,
What's, I mean, there's going to be huge amounts of differences from what happened in
mm.
day one to what happened today. But fundamentally, what are the main sort of differences now in the business and the industry between now and then?
Uh, so I joined in 2007. So kind of my picture of it is kind of from then on, but I'm not even from that perspective. I'm not sure I can answer that with a great deal of authority because for most of my career, I was definitely very guilty, if you want to call it that, of kind of being so deep in the day to day that I wasn't really able to take a step back, zoom out, and look at the industry as a whole. Um, which I mean, it's a whole separate conversation, but I do feel like that's had a detrimental effect on the firm in general. Anyway, um, what I do sometimes dwell on, really, is that sometimes it feels like we as a nation have gone from a country full of makers to mostly just importing.
Preach.
And our business has definitely been a part of that shift. Um, but I feel like my granddad, he made the jump into importing at just the right time, and we were one of the first to successfully diversify. We did hold on to the manufacturing arm for as long as we possibly could. But I think when we finally manufactured our last piece, which was in the early noughties, our manufacturing arm of the business was only making up 0.1% of our turnover. So
Wow.
it just had to go. And quite recently, actually, my dad gave me a little bit of anecdotal information that when we first started sourcing or looking at sourcing abroad, you could buy the finished product, the leather, the labour, the import costs, the shipping costs, the duties, the taxes landed in the UK for less than you could purchase the leather for in England, and that's just how big the shift was, and we couldn't really ignore that. If we wanted to survive, we kind of had to go with that. Because we just couldn't compete otherwise. And I know there were a lot more of us in Warsaw back in the up to the 70s, 80s, and maybe even the 90s. But I think maybe the ones that didn't make that adjustment back then are some of them that are no longer with us.
It's a fine line to walk emotionally, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you want to honour traditions, you
Mm-hmm.
want to keep those skills alive, and you want to keep people in jobs and
Mm.
and and stay in business. And sometimes
Yeah, they clash.
yeah, they
Or
clash.
they kind of, they argue against one another. Yeah, it's not always easy, and I do sometimes spend time worrying I'm making the wrong call. Luckily, no massively big decisions have come my way yet. They all predate me.
Try and keep it that way. I would if I were you.
I know.
Saves the 2 o'clock in the mornings.
Yeah, oh, I've had enough of those
Oh
lately.
God. I think, I mean, I'm in the metal sector, as you know, and when I first started out, uh, China and other countries in the Far East didn't actually make stainless steel.
Mm,
Um, they were the biggest sort of importer of European stainless steel.
right.
And I know there's lots in the press about British steel works and stuff, but There's some long products like tube that's made in the UK in stainless steel, but that's it. We don't do flat roll products. So when we're talking about British stainless steel, we're not. We're talking about European. I mean, they've all got companies in the UK, but we're talking about European flat roll products or flat roll products that come from other countries. But it's scary. I mean, I don't feel that I've been doing this nearly 4 decades, but I have. And the fact that, in my working life memory, we've gone from a country not making anything to probably making the most in the world. It's pretty scary. How are we all as small SMEs meant to compete with that when we don't have the backing? We don't back ourselves. We don't go out and go, I'm not buying those shoes because they weren't made in the UK. I'm not buying that car. I'm not buying that iPhone. And I think silly things like going back to politics and councils, if we could make sure that all public service vehicles were made in the UK, that would help manufacturing greatly.
Yeah, but the sentiment is wonderful by British. It really, it's lovely. But when you compare the price,
but can we afford to have that sentiment?
Yeah, it's definitely, again, it's one of those things that kind of contradicts one another, and it kind of leads into the whole. You were talking about the government backing. One of the biggest issues I think my trade has got at the moment is the way Amazon, Fulfilled by Amazon, FBA, is facilitating those Chinese factories. They can now sell direct to consumer because they just ship their goods straight into Amazon fulfillment warehouses, and then Amazon ships it out for them. And if, again, I don't know whether I've got the intelligence or the time or the wherewithal to get into all the particulars of it, but I feel like if there was some kind of government understanding of that situation, or maybe they do understand it and they're just choosing to ignore it, to counter that somehow with taxes or duties that they can kind of skip through, maybe we'd have a bit more of a chance to stand against them, because the Chinese factories selling on Amazon are obviously selling at a fraction of what our customers can, because if we're kind of the importers dealing direct with the factories, we then sell on to wholesalers who sell to retailers. We also sell to retailers directly. So by those factories selling direct to the consumer, they're cutting out us, they're cutting out our wholesale customers, and they're cutting out our retail customers. So
which is just a massive companies, a huge amount of employees, and shall I really mention Amazon's failure to pay tax? So in the UK, we all have to do it. They seem to not. It's frustrating. And yes, I am a complete and utter hypocrite. I have an Amazon package due today. But it's sometimes it is the convenience, and we fall into the convenience trap.
And the breadth of choice. There's every possible product category covered, and a gazillion choices in each category. I think my dad was saying he thinks you're crippled by indecision and there's too much choice there, and but he's got no patience, so he'll be like this and go, ugh. He also won't buy out of principle.
I really admire people who do that. I would like to be that principled, but I've got a handheld vacuum and a yoga mat arriving. So one's a Christmas present, the other one is my back's broken, and I've got 2 dogs. I need to vacuum up the stairs. We're all guilty of it. But again, I try and buy a lot from small makers on Etsy. But it's getting harder and harder to actually identify that they are small makers, they're craftspeople, and they're not someone selling what's been bought in. And that's the difficult thing. So, but anyway, we digress. So, So I mentioned earlier, your company's been going for 78 years now. So
Mm.
you've got your 80th anniversary in 2 years' time. Wow.
Yeah.
Are you going to do something special to mark the occasion, or?
Yes, I'd love to.
or
I'm definitely planning, or at least thinking about planning something. I'm not sure what it is yet. It actually coincides with my 20th work anniversary here as well, so there's a nice level of symmetry to
Oh,
it
that's
there.
brilliant. Yeah.
We floated a few ideas around, actually, with somebody who works for Walsall High Growth, Gail. She's a business advisor, so we've kind of discussed it there. There are some seedlings of ideas, but nothing set in stone yet.
Yeah, well, it will come to life. I mean, we're babies compared to your company's history, but our 40th anniversary was 2 years ago, and I really enjoyed the planning of it. It felt so special and so
Yeah,
personal,
special.
and it's going to
Mm,
be even more so for you with your 20th anniversary linking up to it. So
yeah, yeah.
I look forward to seeing these celebrations when you share them in a couple of years on LinkedIn.
Thank you.
And talking about the fact you've been there 18 years now,
Mm.
did you want to join the family business? Did you plan to?
Yeah, I didn't know how or when that was going to kind of come about, but it was always, from my perspective, certainly part of the plan. I mean, I've been in close contact with the business for most of my life. My first kind of distinct memory was when my mum was quite poorly with both the pregnancies, so she had to spend a lot of time in hospital. As a result of that, let me think, I must have been about 4 when she was in hospital having my sister. And my dad had to go and set up for spring fair,
Mm.
or it might have been autumn fair, thinking about the timing, but either way, early 90s. And kids obviously aren't allowed in build days. So he had to sneak me in the footwell, and I was there helping, in close speech marks, set up,
Oh, I love
probably
that.
being an absolute pain in the backside, setting up the display, which they'd have to go around and redo, most likely.
Hmm.
But I mean, even when I started in 2007, the job wasn't there waiting for me. It was actually because my predecessor was poorly, off sick, and we didn't know it at the time, but she was terminally ill. She didn't kind of share any of that with anybody. So I came in as a temp to, I think it was originally to pay wages, because I mean, my predecessor obviously did a very small portion of what I do today, but I came in to do the wages and the import documentation, and I was just thrown in absolutely the deep end. Luckily, I knew how to do, I don't know whether you ever know this, the old-fashioned P11 deduction sheets, which were like probably 3 A4
Yeah.
sheets. I mean, nobody would know what those are these days, I
No.
don't imagine. And even back then, most of the country was probably working from a computer, but because we were set in the 70s, stuck in the 70s, I should say, they were still working off P11 deduction sheets. They bought a temp in from a temping agency who couldn't do it, so just spent the week writing out wage slips. And then I came in the following week to actually take over. But I mean, that was a battle, because I was 21 at the time. And when my dad first suggested, why don't we ask Holly to come and do it? My granddad said he didn't want me here because I was of childbearing age.
Ooh.
So I know. I mean, I didn't actually go on to have children till I was 27. So it got a while yet. But that's just a sign of how old fashioned my granddad was.
Yeah, it that's one of the things we obviously see in our own families. But when it's a
Mm.
family business as well, you sort of see it more, because what
Oh, yeah.
your nan or granddad might say over Sunday lunch, you can have a bit of a
Hmm.
giggle about, hits a bit differently if you're actually
And
in
it
their
actually
employ.
comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you've
Yeah,
got
that was
other fourth generation family members working with you. Is it a
yeah,
sister and a cousin?
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, Are you all sort of a similar age? Have you all been there a similar period of time? Do you,
No, I mean, I came in 2007, and then when I went off to have my son, who's nearly 12,
when you were of childbearing age? Yeah.
Yes, when I was finally of childbearing age, yes. That would have been 2014. My sister came in to cover for me. When I came back, she kind of moved over to sales. And then when I went off and had another child, heaven forbid, in 2017, my cousin came in. So I think, I've been here 18 years. Charlie's been here 12 years nearly, and Brittany's been here 8 years. 8.
And you all get on working together? Is it strengthened your
Yeah. I
relationship?
mean, the tensions between my dad and my uncle have always been a challenge. And I think almost for a while, my cousin and I might have been, and it was only a short spell, might have been a little bit guilty of letting those kind of dad tensions trickle down. But the past few weeks, I don't know, it's just different. There is something's changed. There has been such a lighter and brighter kind of energy and dynamic between us. It's wonderful. She's just started the Help to Grow management course, which I did earlier this year. And I think probably getting out of the GH Stafford bubble, which we've all been guilty of kind of staying within, has done us all a world of good. It feels like she's stepped up massively into kind of the idea of taking the helm, and the change in dynamic, like I say, has been brilliant.
I think there are particular challenges for
Yeah.
multi-generational family businesses, and whenever you take on a leadership role or step into a new position, you need to find your feet. You're going to make mistakes. I think that, and I think the outside world are looking and go, oh, that's easy because you're, the boss's daughter or the other boss's daughter, and I don't think they realise the amount of pressure combined with a sense of duty that there is, that just creates a different dynamic when it's a family business.
I mean, from my sister's perspective as well, we've always been exceptionally close, personally, but obviously after I came back, she moved into sales and I was very much on the buying side, so we've kind of been on opposite ends of the operation. And it's tricky sometimes, because when a business starts to struggle, it tends to be the sales are the reason that things are struggling. So from a directorship perspective, I'm dealing with performance, sales in general, not just pigeonholing anyone. But then from a family perspective, you are dealing with family members, so it's very, very difficult to tackle those intricacies, let's say.
I once made my brother-in-law redundant, if that helps.
Yeah.
It's
how did that go?
Yeah, it's fine. It's
Okay.
that was in the 2008 2009 crash. He's back working for me again now. He's just done another 10 years. So but yeah, it is. So my husband works for me, and so do his two brothers and his sister. So, but they're all my employees. So that can be fun occasionally.
Yeah.
And they're all great. Yeah. They're all brilliant at their jobs. But yeah.
Something I think we need to get better at is removing the emotion from it. But again, that's kind of only come to light with removing myself from the situation and being able to take a step back and realizing that there are ways to deal with these things that completely remove emotion from it. And that's the only really fair way to do it. And unfortunately, I don't think it's ever been done here. Because I think maybe my dad and my uncle and my granddad beyond that, and I mean, I can't speak to his dad because I wasn't around, but they're of the generation where asking for help and advice probably just wasn't a thing. So they should know these answers, surely, is probably what they were thinking. So the fact that I'm out there speaking to people and saying, well, actually, I don't know how to do this. I feel like I don't know what I'm doing sometimes. I don't think sits particularly well with them all the time. But the more people I speak to outside, the more I realise that it's 100% reasonable and advisable even to get other opinions.
I think it's also a sign of the times and the way how business has changed. When we look at operations, whether it's, everything from sales and marketing through to finance, cash flow, buying, import, export, and all of that, what we have to do for each task now is inherently more complicated and on a bigger scale than when we started, 40 years ago when we had to do it. And it will be the same with yourselves. So when you look at, like my dad, my mum tells everyone they only retired about 10 years ago. It's not true. Love you, mum, but it's not true. And I took over as MD in 2008, and I lasted probably a couple of years of my dad coming in one day a week ish, telling me what I was doing wrong. And then he went on holiday and he came back and I took his desk out. So he didn't know where to sit. No, I literally came back and there was no desk. It's like, you retired, go away. She was like, hi, bye. But he's in his 80s now. So he learnt how to, from managers in the 50s and 60s. And it was very prescriptive. Do this, be respectful. It's Mr. So-and-so, the girls in the typing pool. Whereas I'm going to get in your face. So it's completely different. And they struggle sometimes.
I don't profess to have all the answers, definitely not. I always feel like it's more of a question with me and a discussion than like, this is what we're doing. But I do, going back to what you said about everything's more complicated now, absolutely, because for some reason my dad seems to think everything's simple. Like, it's quite simple, really. Just do this. But then it's not, because to do that, I've got to do that. And to do that, I've got to do that. And everything is so, I feel like there's so many steps to everything now that it's not as simple as he thinks.
And you saying it's a discussion, asking questions, rather than just going, this is what we're going to do. You can get some brilliant ideas and input and solutions and opportunities from working with people who were looking at it slightly differently, whether they're a team member, whether I sat on a peer board for about 15 years. That was brilliant.
I've been waiting for one, actually.
Have you?
They were supposed to be setting one up, and I said I'd want to be part of it, and they said, hold fire a minute, I'm going to try and get one. This is Walsall High Growth again. I'm going to try and get one that's kind of geared up for family businesses. So I was like, great, that sounds fabulous. But it is, but getting different people's perspectives and even staff meetings. I mean, we've never had staff meetings. I started them about 3 months ago, and my dad was convinced it was the worst idea imaginable. It's a waste of it's like 12 minutes once a week. It's nothing major. And he was convinced it's the worst idea imaginable, and that it's going to be just a waste of man hours. But I mean, I'm not saying they are all revelationary, but they have been interesting, and it's definitely it's a culture shift for people here, because they've never done it. But I'm hopeful that with time they will get more comfortable with them, and even because at the moment the kind of the people that contribute are the same people every week. I'm hoping that with time everybody will get that little bit more comfortable and maybe want to speak up or suggest something, or say, we had a problem with this last week, can we perhaps fix it or address it? Or it's still work in progress, but
it takes time, doesn't it, to do something like that? And you don't want to point at someone and go, John, you haven't said something, what do you think about this? Or Jane, you haven't said something, if they're quite a quiet person anyway. But it's trying to run the meeting and looking at how every voice can be heard. And that's something that can be done. But again, it comes down to culture. Nancy Klein's Time to Think is a good book looking at how to create a thinking culture That's
Right.
Sally Twistleton spoke about that at my
Okay.
conference this year, and that was a
Right.
really interesting topic. The presentation was called "Creating the Thinking Environment" or "The Meeting That Should Have Been an Email" or something like that. So,
Yeah.
but it is, and these sort of changes and cultural shifts never happen overnight, and
Mm.
it's trying to embed them with the positivity that people then start to be proactive. But I think we as sort of leaders need to put the time in first to
Hmm.
bring them along with us.
Yeah, and I mean, it's definitely something I'm still learning as well. I know it's a culture shift, but it's got to come with from me as well, and I've not found the way yet. It's coming with me as well. So hopefully they'll come along.
But I was about to say you're working on yourself. That sounded very American, like you were in therapy. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
stepping back. You're working on the business.
yeah.
And
I mean, it's a terrible cliche, but it's
yeah,
so applicable. Hmm.
how do you protect that strategy time when you are
Oh,
busy in the day to day?
well, do you know that's only been the strategy thing has really only been very recently. And as I said earlier, I was so, and I'm going to say I was guilty of being so immersed in the day to day. But again, I think that's probably a culture thing because before, like, I don't know, 6 months ago, I don't think I'd ever heard the word strategy mentioned either within or in reference to GH Stafford's. It just wasn't a thing. I mean, I don't want to say our success just happened by accident because from memory, my dad, I don't have much working memory of my granddad working hard, so to speak. That came before my time. But my dad, when I was a child and a teen, he worked bloody hard for decades. He was working 6 days a week. He was always the first in, the last out. Um, but I don't know that there was any kind of long term strategy towards that. It was just kind of he just had a really good eye for what would sell.
Subconscious. It's a subconscious
Yeah,
strategy, and
yeah,
your brain's putting going from A to Z because you've got the
mm,
decades of experience. But it's as
yeah,
things change rapidly, and that's the geopolitical environment we're in. Um,
hmm,
and you're looking at that and going, I can't do what I've always done because I'm going to get what I've always got. If you change nothing,
mm,
nothing changes. Some, really daft cliches, but they're true. And
yeah,
having, quite frankly, the guts to go, now, hang on a minute, we've done it that way for 78 years. It's worked. We've
hmm,
not changed, but the environments we're working in have changed. So
yeah,
what do we need to tweak? And what does that look like?
mm,
That's going to be the difference between thriving, it'll be bloody hard work, but thriving
mm.
and all of a sudden realizing your margins eroded so much, you can't pay wages
It's
next month.
interesting that you said about the subconscious. Sorry, I apologise about the notifications. I thought I'd turn those off, but I need to learn my laptop better. Um, yeah, so it, the subconscious strategy. It's interesting because he's always kind of had in his mind, or certainly for the last kind of 20 years or so, we need to diversify into a new market to keep our market share. And he's never particularly known what to diversify into. But the first thing he did that was kind of really kind of miles apart from what we'd done before would have been shopping trolleys, as in, what I used to call old biddy shopping trolleys. But now it's not just old biddy shopping trolleys because I see at all ages with
I
them.
love a shopping
I think,
trolley.
yeah. He started those in 2005. And they've gone really well. And then the last thing that we probably kind of sidestepped into, which again, I don't feel like has anything to do with what we actually started with, was walking sticks. And they've gone really well as well. They've gone from strength to strength, and we're just growing there as well. But like I say, that's kind of a subconscious thing. They've not sat down and kind of settled on that strategy.
You can
And
sort
I
of
do sometimes
imagine
think,
someone walking past, can't you, with, say, one of your bags or
It
something,
happens all the
and
time.
you
I'm
go,
all the time.
"Oh,
I'm going, that's a 2578.
they've
That's
got a bag. What
2573.
else have they got? They're pulling a shopping trolley, and they've got a walking stick. What else can we sell them?"
Yeah.
It's going to be subconscious because you'll have seen that sort of thing. It's
Yeah.
it's it's
Yes, that's probably how it's happened. Yeah.
it's
He's probably gone out there with the idea out there, as in China, with the idea in his mind that that's what he wants to look for on that trip. But the protecting the strategy is also a challenge, because I'm not sure they yet see the value in it, because they will see that my to-do list isn't getting ticked off. They will see that things aren't being done, and of course most of the things that come from strategy meetings and strategy conversations and all that that kind of goes along with it, the effects that are felt or the benefits that you hope come from it aren't immediate. So kind of every call I'm on, he's going, how was that call? Was that any good? What's happening with that then? I'm like, well, nothing yet, but we shall see. Watch this space.
it is it's difficult. I mean, we're only second gen. We're not third gen. My son worked for us for about 18 months in between coming back from Australia and getting his dream job at Aston Villa. So
Wow.
I know he got stuck in Australia over COVID. It was great. Cost me a fortune. I
Goodness.
know. But one of the things that me and my brother talk about, my brother's not in the business, is that my father's very proud of me. He is.
Mm. Mm.
But the business and our reputation and my brand are a million miles away from when he left, retired, nearly 20 years ago, say 15 years ago, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got to stink. He's never said it has, but it's got to stink.
Yeah.
And I'll do something, and then he'll go, why are they flying you there to do that? And I'll go, because I'm good. Oh, well, how much is it costing us? They're paying me. Oh, is the company
Oh, no.
getting it? No, I have another company that's getting
Yeah.
it because I'm being paid for it. Oh, well, I don't think that's fair. I'm like, it's all right. I took 3 days holiday. Oh, okay.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
But
I agree with that. My dad's definitely proud, but he definitely questions my experience. I mean, he's got 50 years he's got 50 years in total. So he hasn't got 50 years on me, but
yeah, and it's going to happen unless you can accidentally move their desk out.
not a chance. Not a chance.
You when you're not sort of doing the strategy or in the day-to-day stuff, obviously you have to look after the relationships as well as looking at the buying. So you've just come back from China. I imagine, particularly when you're looking at designs and trying to decide what's going to be the next popular item in your walking sticks and shopping trolleys as well.
Yeah.
It's a bit like
Rock
sort
and
of
roll.
having a crystal ball, isn't it? And just hoping you're looking in the right one. But how important is it going and developing those relationships with your suppliers?
Yeah, priceless. I mean, I spent 17 years having those relationships over email, and finally getting to meet them face to face was just awesome. It brought a whole new level of understanding to the relationship, and the relationship from their perspective that you just could not get just tapping away on an email to them. It priceless. But I mean, going out to China, it's not just about seeing the suppliers. It's also about seeing the goods and the samples and feeling them, and the trends. I mean, that's you see a lot out there that I'm seeing a lot of this
Yeah.
time, and I'm seeing that everywhere. So, but it has been a game changer, and kind of the more I think about it now, having been only 3 times, my dad's been 60 times.
Was that 60?
60. Yeah,
Wow.
I think he started going. I mean, I haven't checked the maths, but he started going in 92, twice a year, and he only missed COVID. And I think there was a bird flu incident a few years ago as well that stopped people going. So, but he's counted in. He said 60 times, and he likes to tell people, "I've been 60 times. Holly's been 3 times, and she already knows more Chinese than I do."
Ni hao, ni hao
So,
ma, wo jiao Kirsty.
see, I don't know that bit.
Hey,
I know ni hao and ni hao ma, but I didn't know my name. I'm assuming that's what he said.
wo jiao Holly.
Right,
So,
right.
and share is thank you.
Yes, I know that as well. Yeah,
So,
I know things like price and this, that, and style, and what else have I learned? Well, yeah, it was really good. It was the Paul somebody Mandarin. It was an audiobook that I listened to in the car, which was fabulous.
I think if my memory is correct, Zeitnar is red wine, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, but my dad probably knows that one, but I don't. I'm afraid. No.
My daughter-in-law is Chinese, so
that's helpful.
yes,
That's helpful.
it is. I do, but Google Translate's brilliant. But we were learning Mandarin in 2021. Yeah, 2021 for hopefully for when her parents came over to the wedding, but then they weren't allowed, COVID. So I stopped learning. I really need to do more.
Yeah, it is good.
It's I think the flip side of supplier relationships as well that you've been developing is obviously the customer relationships. We're in an increasingly online world. You've just demonstrated that by saying you were talking to people by email for 17 years before meeting them 3 times. How do you work with customers to sort of try and have that balancing act between let's do it all online, thank you for your order, it's been dispatched, and then the sales team developing that relationship? Because that quite often is the deciding factor rather than that's 10p a unit cheaper or something.
Honestly, it feels like a very difficult balance to strike. We've always operated through our sales agents, and I mean, when I started, we had a lot more. Historically, the agents were pretty much our sole means to business development and prospecting, although I don't like that word. It's too salesy. But that model gave us and gives us a very personal touch. Our agents know our customers well. They've got those long-standing relationships that you just can't replicate with an online transactional kind of relationship. But I do sometimes worry that maybe we haven't adapted quickly enough. Customer expectations have definitely changed, and as you said, as an online, everything's kind of online first. I do sometimes worry that maybe as a company we missed some of the opportunities over the years to modernise how we serve them. I mean, that could come in the form of better digital tools, better communications, or maybe marketing tools that they can adapt for their own use. But sometimes I do worry that we've missed opportunities there. But we are starting to shift, and that's really come from being able to remove myself from the day-to-day and kind of look at the bigger picture. We've been starting to consider how we engage with our customers and how we can kind of better support their success. We're kind of just this year actively looking at kind of the different way to present our brochures, whether that's a digital brochure or a sales solution to put in the hands of our agents, so they've got all that data there readily available in the palm of their hands when they are seeing our customers. But a kind of internal battle I have with myself while kind of going over all these options and speaking to the different customers is I really, really don't want to kind of move away from that, the warmth and the human personable side that you get from dealing with and being involved in a family business, but perhaps keep that, hopefully, but back it up with more modern systems that can and make it easier for the customer.
It's difficult, isn't it? Again, it comes back to sort of walking a fine line, particularly if you've got long-standing relationships with the customers, and you might have dealt with them as a company for, say, 20 years. Well, at some point,
and then some in some
they're
cases.
going to go and retire, and then you're going to get someone come into the role who goes, "Where's my online portal?
Yeah.
What how do I log into it? What's the code?" And you go, bugger. So it is.
100%.
Yeah, I'm with you on it. We do a mix of online and, again, with us, it's polished stainless steel. So have the sample card, look at the finishes, touch them, feel them. Again, with your leather goods, it's very tactile. It's not just a pretty picture on a website or on a tablet. So we've massively overrun. I'm so sorry, but it was so interesting to talk to you. Can I just ask you, finally, what's the best advice you've ever received?
I don't know. So I feel like a broken record, but this whole removing myself and speaking to external people is so new, and I've had so much advice lately. It's still early days. I'm not really sure which ones are going to pan out to be winners yet. Whenever anyone asks me about advice, something personal comes to mind, and I'm not sure that's what you're looking for.
No, it can be, yeah. We're all human beings.
Okay. So it's two bits that came from my mom and my mum-in-law when I was pregnant with my first child. We didn't know whether it was a boy or a girl, and we couldn't decide whether or not we wanted to find out. And my mum said, no, keep it a secret, because when you are absolutely cream crackered and you've been pushing for hours and you think you can't do it anymore, you're going to need that extra region to push it out to see whether you've got a boy or a girl. So that actually worked, because with my first, I was pushing for nearly 3 hours. And the second bit came from my mother-in-law when my husband and I couldn't agree on what to call William when he was still in my belly. And she said, just stay quiet. Keep your mouth shut. Don't say a thing, because as soon as he sees what you've got to go through, he'll let you have whatever you want. Which is exactly how that played out as well, which was fantastic.
Yeah, I like that.
So, so I'm afraid that's all I've got to offer. But with regards to professional advice, maybe just watch this space.
I like that. Watch this space. Holly, thank you so much for spending so much time talking to me today. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I really look forward to seeing how you all celebrate the 80th anniversary in 2027, which will be here before we know it. Thank you.
Yes, it will. Yeah. Thank you very much.